How's it going, guys? It's out of the money. Oh my god. Wow, I'm gonna have to self-flagellate for that one later. I call myself in the money for a reason. Listen, I want to talk about out of the money options and why it seems like some people make tons of money and then most people lose money. And why that is. It seems like if you go to the war-torn streets of WallStreetBets, you can find people just touting tons of money and then most people losing money. And it's because of the exact same thing, which is out of the money options, which really is the equivalent of leverage. Leverage, in my opinion, is not bad. I'm not the Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger kind of guy who thinks that leverage is going to kill you. I think leverage can be used wisely, but when you're talking about out of the money options, it's much more difficult to use them intelligently to make money. Now, to demonstrate exactly why that is and how out of the money options work, there's a little bit of nuance to it. I'm going to use Options Profit Calculator, which I am so proudly sponsored by for this video. They are pimping out their website. They used to look like this. They're moving to this. So it's cool to see a site that I've used for many years on this channel start moving in a cool direction and working on different tools and stuff in the background that we can utilize here in the near future. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at out of the money options first on Apple. So you can search up Apple. It's going to pull up the stock price of Apple. And then we can select an option from the options chain. And we're going to do 1 week out, as far out of the money as you can get, which is going to be 1 penny. Here's the dealio. When you look here, you can see that your break even is really high. And it says that right here. Break even at expiration or expiry is 175.02. It's currently trading at 150.21. So basically it has to go up 25 points, which is quite significant. If you look at the percentage move, it's around 16% over here on the right-hand side. The reason being is that every option is strike price plus premium paid. In this case, I like to think of it better as the current stock price plus any extrinsic value, because your all intrinsic value is already going to be built in. If you buy an in the money option, you're going to have like a $2 in the money option that costs $2.30. You're already going to have $2 of intrinsic value. Then it's going to be the current stock price, and then it's going to be that $30 of extrinsic value. So screw strike price plus premium paid for the most part, unless you're talking about out of the money options. Let's just take a look at the stock price plus extrinsic value. That's for in the money options grossly. In this case, we're looking at an out of the money option, which is very, very cheap. It's literally 1 penny, which is $1. This says late cost is $2. We're going to move it down to the bid of the $1. And you can see the break even is really high. It's around where the strike is because it's strike price plus premium paid. So you can see, look at the out of money option. It has such a high break even, around 16% in the next week. So there's a high probability that you're going to lose 100% of the money you put into it. But if we expand the stock price range from, let's do 142.50 to 200, you can see that if you go double that for whatever reason, you make $2,499, which is a return on your equity of 249,900%, which is quite a lot. And this is only for a $1 call. So let's say we buy 3,000 of these and pay $3,000. Now, if we go instead of making 50%, maybe it doubles for whatever reason. They talk about VR, they drop a new car out of nowhere, whatever. You made $7 million. So that's where all that leverage comes from, is all these out of the money options. But also, it's such a low probability that you're going to make any profit because it has such a high break even that you're going to keep burning money in this extrinsic value over and over and over and over again until your bankroll is zero. And then you have to think about if you're buying before earnings call, you might experience IV crush, where right where you start, you buy a bunch of out of the money options. And that evening they have earnings, and then IV drops significantly. And then all of a sudden you're near your max loss. So you have to consider that as well. But if we look at a in the money option, and we'll do the same underlying. We'll do the same expiry, but we'll do pretty deep in the money. We'll do as close as we get to $1,000 here, the asking price. So here you can see our break even is 151, which is just barely above the current stock price because it's in the money option where it's strike price plus premium paid. The strike price is, what is the strike price? Do we choose 142 plus premium paid of $9, which is going to be 151, right? Or a better way to look at it is what's the intrinsic value? If we look at the current stock price, it's 150.21. Intrinsic value is going to be $8.21. What's left over? You have 79 cents of extrinsic value. So it's going to be 79 cents to the upside that it has to go. And that makes sense. If you look at the current stock price, it's 150.21, and the break even is 79 cents. So within the money options, it's like, don't think about it as strike price plus premium paid. Think about it as how much extrinsic value am I risking? And really, extrinsic value within the money options is what you're risking in excess of owning 100 shares outright. But the benefit is that you're going to have a reduction in cost. This option is going to be much cheaper than owning 100 shares outright. But you're going to be risking the extrinsic value, that time and implied volatility value that work together in conjunction. But we're looking at an option that's about $1,000. But let's make it as close to $3,000 as possible, so we can match our out of the money options, and we'll do the same thing: 142.50 to 200. Break even stays extremely low. If I drop IV, it still stays extremely low. And if IV dropped to 0, really all it's doing is getting rid of all of the extrinsic value, because IV is basically extrinsic value. So it's going to bring your, it's going to make whatever your break even by expiration is to today, which is not going to happen ever. But the lower IV goes, the higher the stock price it has to go to make money on any given day, not just on expiration day. Let's go to 34.81 really quick, where it normally is at. So break even's like 1% above where we're at, while break even with these is about 16% of where we're at. Is this leveraged? Yes. If it goes up $4, roughly speaking, I make $900. So it is quite leveraged, and I'm paying not $100. I'm not buying 100 shares of Apple at 150, which would be $15,000. I'm paying $2,700 for 3 in the money options. Yes, they expire in a week, and that's why they're so cheap. But you can see the benefit is still there. That leverage is still there. It's just not as ridiculous as this. And so that's why I call myself in the money, because I like low break evens. And if I go further out in expiration, like as far out as we possibly can on December 2025, and we do some deep in the money option, maybe for $5,000, you can see how you have a year and a half, almost 2 years, to reach your break even, which is going to be about 19% above where the current stock price is. And if IV rises, if you were to buy in a low implied volatility environment and IV were to increase because of the mean reverting characteristics of implied volatility, you can see that your range in which you make money is going to look much more preferable. And that's why it's nice to buy in low IV implied and low implied volatility environments. Same goes for out of the money options too, though. If all of a sudden you have a sudden increase of implied volatility, you're going to be making quite a bit of money, although it wouldn't be that drastic, but you could still make quite a bit of money. However, out of the money options are just so sensitive to everything that it makes it not a great investment, in my opinion. So why is it exactly that out of the money options have this kind of leverage as compared to in the money options? And look, I mean, if you think about it, it's about the same percentage to the upside that we're looking at break even for this deep in the money leaps option. The 3 of them cost $15,000. So maybe we should bring it down to 1. It still has leverage, significant leverage, and its break even is around 17% or so. And this is around 16%, except this expires in a week, and this expires in nearly 2 years. So you have a lot more time to get to it, especially if you buy in a low implied volatility environment, so that if it goes up, you'll be in a more preferable profit loss position. So why exactly is it that it works this way? Well, if we look at an example here using Apple options with some rounded numbers, the cost of an out of the money option is going to be 1 penny. You can buy 500 of those, and it would cost $5, so $500. The delta is about also 1 penny. You bought 500 of those, it's going to be 5 delta, meaning if it goes up by 1, if the underlying goes up by 1 point, you're going to make $500. If it goes down by 1 point, you're going to lose $500. and the delta is also about 1. It's all rough estimates. And you bought 500, which means your delta is about 5. So every day that passes, you lose $500. So basically, you're like right up against expiration. You're going to lose the entire value of all the contracts you purchased. Now, if you look at, excuse me, if you look at the in the money option, it's one option. It costs $500. Why did I go square and then circle? Am I autistic? I'm sorry. Autistic people, I'm sorry. Which is my entire audience. Again, I'm sorry. So it costs $500, same amount. But delta is 0.8. Well, in this case, delta is 5. So out of the money options have a lot more leverage as a percentage of the value of the options, such that if you bought a lot of out of the money options, you're going to have extreme leverage. However, this delta over here is minus 0.1, while the delta over here is basically $500. So it's, $10 as compared to $500, which is this one's much more preferable. Even if you were to look at this and go, oh, the theta is only 0.1 and this is 0.1, this looks worse. The second one looks worse. Well, if you think about it, it's a much larger percentage of the value of the option. This is 0.1. The value of the option is 0.01, 0.01. So in basically a day, your option is going to expire worthless. And so that's where the leverage comes from, is this delta is a larger percentage of the value of the option, and you can buy a bunch of them, and then you can have a high delta that is the same, even if they cost the same as an in-the-money option, it's going to have a much higher delta than that in-the-money option. Have I drawn enough lines yet? So yeah, that's why people make money on Wall Street bets, but the majority lose money because that strike price plus premium paid, because it's mostly based around strike price, because the premium paid is going to be small because it's out of the money, right? It's going to be cheap. So it's mostly the strike price. But because the strike price is so high, you're setting a really high goal for yourself, and it's very sensitive to implied volatility. But because it's such a high goal for yourself, it's going to have a low probability of profit. You're going to have a high burn rate of your money as you keep doing that same strategy of buying out of the money options. And eventually you're going to burn through your bankroll and you can't make that up again. So that's why you see a lot of people who lose all their money over the course of a year, and they have like $10 left. And like, what's the next move? And it's like, the next move, dude, is get a job. And God help you. So that's why I call myself in the money. And that's me. Peace out. Here comes the outro music. 3, 2, 1.